MAGA, polled in the first week of this bombing campaign 94% positive to only 6% negative. Now fast forward a little over a week from that fell to 78% support with 10% opposing. That's a 15% drop in a week. During this same time, and this is why I question those people who flipped on this, during that same time, America was reporting massive enemy casualties. Mission success and approval still went down 15%. You know how that makes a soldier feel? Forget about politics here for a second. This shows how quickly people can change their mind for political convenience, because now today, as of today, only 63% of Republicans approve of this campaign on Iran. Think about that. We're winning massive technical and tactical victories, and people are losing some. When in the history of ever have we had negative polling from winning? This is mostly driven by the media, by the way. That's why people feel this way, because they're worried about being on the wrong side of this. I'm not trying to lecture anyone here, but I'm just telling you how I see this from a soldier's point of view. And then you can figure out if this affects how you take your point of view. This is a pretty emotional subject for me. From a warfighter seat, like this kind of stings. I realize a lot of people who disapprove of this will also say, oh, I support the troops, but not the cause. Well, and I'm going to be pretty blunt here. That may make you feel better, but for most soldiers, we see that as kind of a slap in the face. I personally take that as like, hey, you died for nothing, but we'll wave a flag at your funeral. Look, just being honest here, folks. That's what you get from me. Again, I'm telling you this as someone who has been through this kind of thing. You may not see it this way, but I'm giving it to you through the lens of someone like me, as someone who was part of a war that had massive support when we went in Iraq. The guys started dying then, and all of a sudden the public turned on us while we were fighting and dying in that war. That was less than a year, and the public support basically vanished, sending me and my brothers and sisters to go die over there. So, watch. People forget real quick about how and why we did this, and then they start trashing it. And that hurts souls on the battlefield. This poll change was a week. You see how ridiculous that sounds? And these polls span totally now 3 weeks, and you've lost huge support. I mean, put yourself in a position of one of these guys who went down on that tanker. Look at the Iraq war. Far from perfect, but we were killing bad guys that did have the ability and the means to attack our bases and civilians in the region. We should have finished the job in less than 3 years and stopped nation building, but we didn't. If I could have no war like Trump promised, dude, that is my dream, but it's just not the reality. Sometimes superpowers got to remind the world why they're superpowers. And if this becomes a long, drawn-out conflict with boots on the ground, I will come back on here and say, no, this is not what we voted for. This is not what we were promised. And as this poll says, with 47% of Republicans strongly opposing boots on the ground, I bet that number was the same a month ago, too. I bet that hasn't changed. Because it's not what we were promised. It's not what we voted for. This is the red line for a lot of us Republicans. But Trump hasn't done that yet. And until he goes back on his original promise, and if he even does it at all, now is not the time for this to lose support for this campaign. He's operating under the original plan. So for the sake of the men and women fighting it, I'd appreciate if you had a little bit more faith in the man. So when you hear some random guy on CNN like nonchalantly, oh, I don't think we should be fighting over there, and he's got this large venti coffee, being interviewed, walking around an air-conditioned mall in the suburbs. Like, think about it, dude, for a second. Like, he's not the one dodging the missiles. Trump said 4 to 6 weeks. We're nearing that. Our Secretary of War said today we're almost done.
Operation Epic Fury is not an endless war. It's a decisive campaign with clear objectives to destroy Iran's offensive military capabilities and ensure they never obtain a nuclear weapon.
So I'm asking you, as a guy who's been in the conflict sometimes where I felt like my death might not be a worthy cause in the eyes of the average American, have some faith for like another 2 weeks. I'm not asking you for politics. I'm asking you for the mission. The commander-in-chief made a really tough decision with gravity that few people will ever know.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.